Without objection.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. This week at the United Nations, another assault is being launched on the democratic Jewish state of Israel, an assault that the United States must unequivocally oppose and defeat. Predictably, this assault has at its roots in the UN so-called Human Rights Council, an institution that's been hijacked by dictatorships and gross human rights violators. This past winter, in Operation Cast Lead, Israel defended its citizens, defended its existence against the actions of Hamas and other violent extremist groups in Gaza. The Human Rights Council responded by passing a resolution authorizing a so-called fact-finding mission to investigate Operation Cast Lead. This mission's mandate had nothing to do with fact-finding and everything to do with persecuting Israel for defending herself. The mandate prejudged Israel's guilt, authorizing the mission to investigate only assumed human rights violations by Israel. The mandate did not include or even mention the thousands of rocket attacks and mortar attacks spanning 8 years by Hamas and other violent extremist groups in Gaza against civilian targets in southern Israel. Then last month, this so-called fact-finding mission released its report. It's a 575-page collection of distortions and double standards. The report made baseless accusations that Israel's military had deliberately attacked civilians. The report disregarded extensive evidence that violent extremist groups in Gaza used civilians as human shields, operating from schools, from mosques, from hospitals. It ignored the Israeli military's extraordinary efforts to target its operations in order to minimize civilian casualties. It gave a free pass to Iranian and the Syrian teams which provide material and financial assistance to Hamas and other murderous groups in Gaza. Finally, this report recommended further persecution of Israel through follow-up action by the UN Security Council, the General Assembly, the Human Rights Council, and the International Criminal Court, among others. In fact, today, the Security Council met at the request of the Libyan regime and considered this very biased report. Later this week, with the blessing of the UN Secretary General, the Human Rights Council is expected to hold a special session on this report. What will they do? They will pass yet another resolution condemning Israel and only Israel. And what has the U.S. done in response to this anti-freedom onslaught? While acknowledging that the report and its mandate were biased, administration officials still claim that the report raised serious issues and should be considered seriously by that rogues gallery known as the Human Rights Council. Is this how the United States supports Israel and counters the anti-Semitic and anti-Israel bias that is present every day at the UN? We must recognize what is at stake here. If the democratic, political, and military leaders of Israel can be hauled before an unaccountable court for defending their nations against violent extremists in Gaza, then how long before U.S. officials and those of other NATO countries will face the same for defending our nation against al-Qaeda and other such threats? Ultimately, this report is an affront to the enemies of freedom, to deprive democracies of the right of self-defense, making it open season for global jihadists to come after Israel or the U.S. and other free nations. As the leadership of the Simon Wiesenthal Center stated in a recent letter to our Ambassador Susan Rice, consideration of this report is a prescription for disaster, not only for Israel, but for the United States and every country that fights violent extremism. Mr. Speaker, we must oppose any effort to grant consideration or legitimacy in any forum to this irredeemably biased UN report. We must support the right of Israel, the right of the U.S., the right of all democracies to defend ourselves and our citizens. Once again, Mr. Speaker, it is time for the U.S. to lead. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the time.
Ms. Woolsey.